how pro-Palestine are you actually? So recently I've been putting out some shorts. I've been getting some pushback from people who maybe claim to be pro-Palestine but are pushing very liberal Zionist talking points. Put up the definition on the screen for you here. I'm actually going to just give you the full executive summary of an El Shabaka article on this. So this is terrible YouTube etiquette, but it's better you just read it. And it made me think, you know what? Why don't I give you some books you should read that are going to challenge your beliefs and understandings in ways that might make you wonder how pro-Palestine you actually are. And being pro-Palestine isn't an easy thing, unfortunately. You are actively making the decision to be part of a movement that is against the world superpower's favourite vassal state, and for the very people that vassal state is trying to eradicate and replace. It is not an easy task. People have lost their jobs, friends, family, and even their lives for this. You need to really be committed. It is not an easy thing, and yes, some of the actions you can do are easy. Boycotting is like one of the easiest things you can do, but overall the experience of this is not simple. And imagine how hard it is for people in places like Palestine. It is very, very difficult. And look, here in the UK, our government is actively trying to stop pro-Palestine actions and pro-Palestine speech, you know, and it's going to get worse. So I'm going to give you some books. They're going to challenge you and make you wonder how pro-Palestine you actually are, and maybe will actually drive you to want to do more, or even be like, oh, wow, okay, maybe this is just kind of where I need to be. That's, you know, if that's your conscious decision, that is your own decision. But let's talk about these books. The first book, and the one that's most accessible, is Ilan Pappé's 10 Myths About Israel. Ilan Pappé is an Israeli academic who, as he was growing up, witnessed what Israel was doing to Palestinians, educated himself, learned, and has become one of the staunchest advocates for Palestinian liberation and being against Israel's brutal occupation of the Palestinian people. You've probably seen many of his other books. He did a book with Noam Chomsky, who no one likes anymore, which is, you know, kind of understandable. There are better versions of Chomsky, but that's not the topic we're talking about. He's done The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, which is probably the big one you've seen from just him. The World's Largest Open Prison is another one. But 10 Myths About Israel, I think it is his most recent book. It came out 2 or 3 years ago. And it is basically a book which goes through some of Israel and Zionism's leading myths that they use to basically manufacture consent for their settlement in Palestine in West Asia. For example, one of the biggest ones is the Israelis came to a land without a people and they made the desert bloom. The Israelis basically claim, oh, there was nothing here, there were no people here, it was just an empty desert, and we made this beautiful metropolis that is Israel in this land, which Pappé goes into thorough detail debunking this, giving sources, giving explanations. He goes very, very deep into this. So he goes over these 10 very common myths that even people who, you know, might be brand new to being part of the pro-Palestine movement, who may not actually have done a lot of the deep reading about it, but, you know, have been swept up in the movement without doing the requisite, like, self-education, might find themselves being forced to unlearn or actually understand. It is a very comprehensive book as well. It's kind of like question and answer, the way it's laid out. Next is the most controversial of the books, and it is Hamas, A Beginner's Guide. This book basically tells you in great detail, in great research depth, the history, the politics, the makeup, everything about Hamas. Again, I still see people who claim to be pro-Palestine basically coming out and saying, I support Palestine, but I think Hamas are evil. And this is very much a liberal Zionist take. It is this take where basically you are demonizing a group who are, you know, basically using their right to armed self-defense against their occupier, and basically saying, oh, you know, those actions which are legally their right are incorrect, and therefore they are bad. They are the ones responsible for Palestinian suffering, and, you know, taking that blame away from Israel and the United States and all their other allies. This book, it's probably going to be the one. Actually, no, you can get this actually as of this video coming out. You can get it for 50% off on Pluto Press, who is the publisher. So if you really want to get it, snap it up now. I believe that sale ends on the 14th of May. So if you see this before the 14th, pick it up, get it for 50% off as well. And again, very well researched. I mean, Khalid Houb is like, he is so well researched in this. He goes back and references things he himself wrote. Obviously, this is like, I think the 3rd or 4th edition of the book. The 1st edition came out, I believe, just in the wake of Hamas winning the 2006 elections. And then subsequently it's been updated with all of the updates along the way. So yes, it is very well researched. Even I learnt things I didn't know about Hamas, its political structure, its history. All of it is very, very interesting, and hopefully will help dispel many of the myths you see being spread by the West, and also people who claim to be pro-Palestine, like this myth that, oh, Israel created Hamas, Israel want Hamas to be in power. It's nonsensical. It is liberal Zionist nonsense. The final book is going to be the one you're going to struggle the most to find. It is Anna Baltzer's Witness in Palestine. This book is about 20 years old at this point and still is harrowing. Anna Baltzer was basically a Peace Corps type deal activist volunteer who went to the West Bank and was basically volunteering. Her initial goal was, oh, you know, I'm part of a group that wants to make Israelis and Palestinians coexist. And over, I think, 2 or 3 visits, which spanned from before the First Intifada to after the Second Intifada, you see how Baltzer's just understanding just shifts, and the stories she recounts of other people's experience and her own experience, which is just, oh my god, I'll go into it afterwards, but how she's gone from this person of, why can't everyone just like get along, guys, which again, many people who claim to be pro-Palestinian still espouse these things 20 so years after Baltzer's book came out, to, oh, the Palestinians, I understand why they do the actions that they do, and the treatment of the Palestinians is that is not treatment that human beings should be getting from the Israelis. Now, trigger warning here now, there's going to be some very depressing things. I'm going to be telling 2 things. Firstly, I'll tell you something Baltzer says about her own experience. Basically, Baltzer is going through a checkpoint. These are these illegal checkpoints that Israel have put up throughout the West Bank where they humiliate Palestinians on purpose. Baltzer, who isn't even Palestinian, white woman, is forced to go through this checkpoint. She's the only person there as well. She's forced to go through. She was pulled aside by an Israeli guard. You know, they're basically like fanatics with guns, and is forced to sit in a room, be dehumanized, forced to strip, and, you know, be belittled by this Israeli, and it absolutely destroys her. And even she is like, I have seen Palestinians go through even worse than what I went through at this checkpoint. I mean, there's another story where she is seeing these Palestinian men being forced and corralled into this tight space for hours in the heat, without water, without, you know, access to a bathroom, with these, again, fanatical 18-year-old Israelis with machine guns pointed at them, and they refuse to let them through the checkpoints, which again are illegally set up by Israel, and it's stopping these Palestinians getting to their families, getting home, getting to work, anything. And that is just the reality of being a Palestinian. under Israel. And then the one that kills me the most is the story of actually, oh God, there's so many, but we'll sit this one. This mother and father, their child is sick. It's very sick. They're trying to get the child to a hospital. Unfortunately, the Israelis have set up this illegal checkpoint, and it's the middle of the night, and they're trying to get their child through to get the child to the hospital. And these Israelis are standing there like, no, you can't go through. Let's check your ID. They take the ID. They wait an hour. They wait 2 hours. They don't do anything. They come back. They're like, you have to wait longer. The second time they come back, they're like, why are you trying to get through here? It's the middle of the night. Why are you trying to get to this hospital? And they're like, our child is sick. Our child is sick. Finally, one of the fanatical Israelis looks in the back, sees that the child is very, very sick. It's like, okay, fine. Goes back, gets the ID, very slowly hands it back to the family, then eventually lets them through. This has been 2 or 3, no, more than that, 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours. They get to the hospital finally, and the hospital are like, we can't save your child. If you'd gotten here a few hours ago, maybe your child would still be alive. And guess what? The Israelis murdered that child. And this is an everyday experience for Palestinians. And that was 20 years ago. It has gotten even worse, even harsher. The illegal settlements being built. The Israeli occupation force soldiers just walking into Palestinian homes, kicking Palestinians out of their homes. It's gotten even worse. If you read Witness in Palestine and you come out of it being like, guys, both sides are the same. Why can't both sides get along? I think you need to get your brain checked. I genuinely think you need to get yourself cognitively checked out, because I don't know how you can come out of that from a third party who goes in with that exact same logic and then is like, what the fuck? From what they see, they speak to people, what happens to them themselves, I have no idea how you can still have this liberal Zionist view on anything to do with Palestine. So those were some books that will challenge you and make you question how pro-Palestine you actually are. And look, from this, I don't want you to take away, if I read these books, I'll automatically just now have become someone who is a very strong Palestine advocate. No, you've got to actually put in some work. And I get it, times are tough. No one's got money. There are wars going on. There are viruses being spread. There is rising fascism. But to challenge all of those things, you need to do stuff. Get involved with a local pro-Palestine chapter, a local pro-Palestine movement, a left-wing group that does that. If you're in the UK on the 16th, so a week from this video coming out, probably, I think, or whatever, you have to get to London. The UK government wants to make it illegal for us to go out and be pro-Palestine. They want to ban us doing that at the same time as a far-right march is going to take over London on the 16th. So, if you are feeling confident, if you are, one person on your own and you're scared, don't come down into London, because there'll probably be something going on in, more local to you. But if you are confident, you've got a group of people you can go with, come down. I will be there as well. Get involved with other things, join something that's going to donate money to Palestinians. If you can, use your own abilities and skills, your art, your voice, whatever, do that, because it's not easy. It is a long road, and if you're going to say you're pro-Palestine, you got to go 10 toes deep. You got to go in on it, and you can't just be spreading liberal Zionist talking points on the internet. So I'm not going to do a call to action for the members. I'll flash their names here because it's nice of me to do and for them to support me. But get involved. I will put the links to the books in the description down below as well. Again, the second book you can get 50% off up until the 14th of May. So go off and do that if you really are interested. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video with a family member, and hey, I hope you read a great book today and free Palestine.